The Higher Education Act of 1965 established Title IV federal student aid with a specific objective: to eliminate financial barriers to entry for low-income students pursuing vocational and technical education. Accessing these funds requires schools to maintain national accreditation, which mandates an extensive layer of administrative reporting and auditing. This structure often causes institutional tuition to align with federal aid ceilings rather than the actual cost of instruction, creating a self-reinforcing cycle of price increases. This visualization shows the weight of the compliance tax. On the left, a student receives federal aid to fund administrative overhead, graduating with significant debt. On the right, a student paying direct market rate bypasses bureaucracy, exiting with a professional license and zero debt. For many vocational programs, aid-mediated affordability is an illusion. The government subsidy doesn't lower the cost, it merely masks the inflated price required to feed the system's own bureaucracy. Operating within this highly regulated beauty and wellness education sector is a distinct outlier, the Louisville Beauty Academy in Kentucky. For approximately a decade, this institution has functioned as a significant statistical anomaly. Louisville Beauty Academy operates as a high-volume vocational engine with strictly zero federal funding and zero state funding. By opting out of the national accreditation ecosystem, it removes the entire administrative layer required to process Title IV money. By analyzing this academy's performance against its Title IV accredited peers, we can see the specific friction points of aid dependence. The data demonstrates why workforce policy needs a transition toward a more direct model. The Louisville Beauty Academy serves as a macroeconomic case study in how to replace enrollment-based financing with an architecture built on actual labor market outcomes. To evaluate this model, we examine verified licensing data from 2023 through 2025, provided by the Kentucky Board of Cosmetology and Barber Examiners. This matrix shows Louisville Beauty Academy achieves a 92.7% ultimate graduate rate, outperforming national brands like Paul Mitchell at 90.9%. More notably, LBA achieves these outcomes charging under $7,000, while accredited competitors charge up to $20,000 for the exact same state-mandated curriculum. The state data highlights an exam resilience score. LBA maintains a retake utilization rate of 157%, the highest among large schools in Kentucky. This clearly indicates a supportive culture that actively guides struggling students through initial testing failures, staying with them until they reach ultimate licensure. This shows an institution charging one-third the price can provide higher institutional persistence and better student support than premium-priced accredited competitors. If the quality of instruction and licensure rates are roughly equal, we must ask what the extra $11,000 at accredited schools is actually paying for. This chart breaks down the compliance tax required for Title IV. Above the small educational cost block sit massive fees: NACACS visits, compliance staff, and annual audits up to $20,000. These non-instructional costs force schools to raise tuition just to break even. Because maximum Pell Grants and federal student loans are guaranteed, these schools have no market incentive to price at their true operational cost. The government subsidy creates a high floor for tuition. The inflated tuition of competitors is structurally mandated to maintain access to federal funding. Louisville Beauty Academy completely bypasses this entire bureaucratic administrative layer to offer true, direct affordability to the student. The student demographic at LBA is low income and first generation, the exact population the federal Pell Grant program was designed to serve. Consider a single mother in Kentucky with an income of $25,000 pursuing a license. At LBA, she pays roughly $6,500 total and enters the workforce with zero debt. At an accredited school, she receives a maximum Pell Grant of roughly $7,400. However, because the tuition is $18,000, she is forced to borrow over $10,000 to cover the remaining balance. This is the Pell paradox. LBA delivers the intended outcome of a Pell Grant, education without debt, while costing the federal treasury absolutely nothing. When you move from individual students to the regional level, the macroeconomic value of a debt-free pipeline becomes clear. We calculate the institution's value by combining the aggregate earnings of 2,000 graduates, their generated tax revenue, and the avoidance of millions in high-interest student debt. Modeled over a 10-year period, these factors produce a cumulative economic impact between $20 and $50 million. The avoided debt segment is critical. By keeping $20 million in principal out of the federal loan system, that capital stays in the local economy, fueling home purchases and car loans rather than debt service. Training nearly 40% of the state's nail technicians, graduates form the backbone of a resilient micro-enterprise sector. These new salons generate continuous local spending. The academy functions as a vital piece of economic infrastructure, driving community wealth building rather than wealth extraction. The beauty industry is currently forced into an academic framing under the Department of Education. This categorization is fundamentally mismatched with how the profession actually works. Instruction in this sector functions as technical entrepreneurship training, where students prepare to enter a micro-enterprise market as licensed service providers. Regulatory alignment should shift toward the Small Business Administration. This would allow schools to act as business accelerators, providing students with access to micro-enterprise grants and salon formation counseling. Integrating the U.S. Department of Labor would also prioritize rapid workforce entry. Using WIOA funds would focus the system on industry-recognized credentials for populations with barriers to employment. Policy should view these graduates not as academic scholars, but as licensed professionals ready to anchor local microeconomies. The ultimate alternative to enrollment-based funding is a success-based reimbursement model, or SBR. Here, public funds are dispersed retroactively in 25% segments, only after the student meets verifiable milestones. These milestones are program completion, licensure achievement, workforce entry, and small business formation. Each is verified through third-party data, like the State Board database or state wage records. SBR ensures the government only pays for verified economic results. This inherently forces schools to minimize overhead and prioritize the direct affordability that LBA has already proven is possible. The Louisville model shows that elite vocational outcomes do not require a compliance tax. The future of workforce development lies in abandoning debt-driven enrollment and embracing the reimbursement of demonstrated success.